They tryna turn Trenton into Baby Flint. Been signs by depression on the billboards ever since. 100 years ago we was lynched. Now they use germ warfare to kill us. I'm convinced, got the evidence. I look around and it's evident. Then go down to City Hall and see so much negligence. Real art is intelligent. A true artist sends messages that speak to your intelligence. They fought and died so I can do my thing. Not to get drunk and high or join no gang. I will not let none of you die in vain. For my people I bang, bang, bang. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. They say post-traumatic slavery disorder's fake, but I just tell them all to wake up. Everything we went through, what a way down a rape, bro. It's in our genetic makeup. So I am my ancestors from block to block. Let's build like it's Tetris. We must unite, link up like a necklace. They fought and died and we disrespected. So I come to correct it. The legacy they left I protected. We only think about self and neglected. You're African but yet you rejected. No. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. I do. I go.
Hey, welcome back to another edition of New Freedom Exchange, your cultural expression for social dignity and community empowerment. I'm your co-host, Brother Deen, here with...
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Marsha.
Walaikum assalam and salam alaikum and peace and blessings to everybody. This is Imam Bilal San here.
How y'all feeling?
Good. Alhamdulillah. It was such a busy day, but definitely fulfilling. So, alhamdulillah, we had a lot going on today, at least here in this area. The Unified Eat Committee of New Jersey, we had our Applebee's breakfast fundraiser this morning. And Sisters in Service also does the Islamic Quran Reading Academy for the children. So that occurred this morning here. Then we had Sister Layla Muhammad did a Google Meets presentation about her grandmother, Sister Claire Muhammad. So that was really good. And then before that, the Council of Imams, we have our monthly Talim, and this one was a universal prayer. Brother Deen was a part of that. Brother Deen was a part of that. And it was really beautiful to have everyone pray for the community, pray for our condition. Sometimes when you hear that, it's just a reminder of the things that we have, that we feel blessed to have, and the things that we desire or are working towards that we ask Allah for. So that was really beautiful. And now we're here. So alhamdulillah.
And that was just today.
That was just today. Like, oh my goodness, exactly. That was just today. I don't even know what happened yesterday. I feel like something may have happened yesterday. Wait. Oh, yes. Okay, wait. I said yesterday, I meant like early during the day. So yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the Sabri family and the New Africa Intelligentsia. They collaborated with me for New Africa Talks, the She Speaks Volumes Primetime Edition last night at 7, and we talked about women, the womb of mind, the re-education of the African American woman. And that was just an awesome conversation with Sister Sajda Sabri about women, about just the essence of us and the power that we have. Not really sometimes we hear power, it sounds like, muscle and strength, but right, exactly. But just women being cognizant of who they really are and what Allah has possessed them with, and to come back to, I guess, sort of to center yourself around knowing that, and then functioning in that. So that was a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Like, even after it was done, I had some people calling to say, they really, really appreciated that. So shout out to Sajda Sabri, shout out to the Sabri brothers for even coming up with that. I really, really appreciate the collaboration.
No, definitely, it was a beautiful. Definitely was a beautiful conversation that took place last night for sure. So alhamdulillah for that. Dean, you have an update that you would like to share? You did your prayer. Yeah, you did your prayer today, man.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to get my battery charged. My battery about to die. Yeah, we did the universal. We participated in the universal prayer. It was interesting because as I originally was preparing for it, you always think of how other people are going to have the same prayer, the same dua, right? Which is good. It's good. And I made mention of that. And afterwards, as I thought about it, and I did my little dua supplication, I thought about the time period, right? Because we say it was a day, right? So we say a day, right? So I started thinking about, because like you said, it was very impactful. All these different prayers coming in, and so I started thinking about, okay, well, we're asking for prayers, and Allah gives us so many examples in the Quran of how He answered the prayers of the people who asked for prayers.
Mm-hmm.
So the day, and then I thought of we say, the law says in the Quran that a day is as 1,000 years for us, right? And they also say He has a day is as 50,000 years in our time, right? So though we only have 5 minutes, afterwards I thought of, if you break that down, I did a little math, it came to that 5 minutes was like 5 days.
Oh wow.
But it was nice just to take a step back and just take it in, because we do prayers, we ask Allah for stuff all the time, but we kind of realize the real impact, and we've said on this program several times, the impact and the power of prayer. So I was honored to be there as well. The children ran me up this week, and they had I don't even know what to call that. I felt like
you got so much fun without me. The kids had so much fun without their uncle, man.
Yeah, well, there you go, man. So, but yeah, good time. How about you, Bilal?
Alhamdulillah. So far, yeah. So last couple of days, currently planning a couple of iftars here in the city, here in New York. We have one plan coming up on May 1st, a Saturday. BYOB is bringing your own blanket / sheet.
BYOB.
Yeah, BYOB.
Yes.
Bring your own bottle. We were talking about bringing your own blanket.
Blanket. You got to be clear.
Bring your own blanket / sheet to the beach. I'll be on Rockaway Beach in Queens. The nice little beach. We're gonna have food, water, of course, dates, things of that nature for the believers. A sister who I collaborating with, Sister Asia, who's a native of Atlanta. She moved up here to Queens within the past few years. She will be helping to make the food for us, and it's gonna be a nice time. I just figured that they're starting to look a little bit better in terms of people just gathering, especially small gatherings of people. It's going to be a real small, intimate gathering. I think it'll be a good time, since the masjids here in New York are now open for iftar again this year. Again this Ramadan. They are open for Tarawih prayers, for the night prayers, but they're not going to be open for iftar. So I wanted to do something for the believers. So we got that one, and we're planning for one in Prospect Park in Brooklyn on the 26th of April as well, in Prospect Park. God willing, inshallah, that work out. Also in the hunt for a vehicle, for a car, for transportation. So how that goes. Looking for a car is Good car can sometimes be difficult, especially when you're on a budget. I mean, get to and fro your location, you know what I'm saying? But inshallah, that works out, as well. And, just been chilling and getting ready for Ramadan. I mean, since tonight's topic is Ramadan as well. Before we get there, just like to remind people to, again, say salams, greet the space, say peace. Let us know where you're coming from. Of course, Khadija is here, as always. Assalamu alaikum, Khadija. She already salams to Marsha.
Assalamu alaikum, sis.
I never understand why. I mean, it's 3 people. It's 2 other brothers.
Listen. You know the sisters give each other love. Don't be jealous.
Don't be jealous.
Don't be jealous.
Salam, Brother Bari. Alhamdulillah. We have you to subscribe and like to the page. Check out that show that happened last night too. If you haven't seen the New Africa Intelligentsia / She Speaks Volume Primetime Edition last night, please, when you get a chance, go watch that. It was very dynamic last night, very dynamic. So we definitely appreciate that. Alhamdulillah. And tonight we are without. I know everyone's basically like, where's the Sheikh? Sheikh cannot kick it with us this evening. So we're going to hold it down for Imam Rashad. So inshallah, he'll be back for our next community conversation. But tonight's community conversation, we want to focus on Ramadan. We're several weeks away. And God willing, we will see it. We will also like to take questions. So if anyone here is not familiar with what Ramadan is for the Muslim, please feel free to ask a question. Do not feel shy. Shout out to brother Tony out there. Walaikum assalam. San Diego, California on the check-in. So if you're not familiar with Ramadan, we're also taking questions in the comment section. So please drop a question down. We'll feel free to answer it as well. So tonight we wanted to, in honor of Ramadan, which is approaching in several weeks, we are in the month of Shaban now, which is the 8th month of the Muslim lunar calendar. And then Ramadan is the 9th month. So in a couple of weeks, we will be looking for the new moon, the setting of the new moon, either 12th or the 13th of April. We go by local moon sighting here in the States. Some go by international moon sighting, which is fine too, if you choose to. But we go by here in the local United States area, moon sighting, and then before we start our Ramadan. But anyway, I don't want to go too far into it. So, I guess we can start first about what does.
We had the announcement. Did you want to go with the announcement? Did you pull those out or?
No, I didn't pull those out.
Okay, I got it.
So while you do that, while we do that, I want to just go around, if we can, just share what does Ramadan mean to us coming up, especially this Ramadan, with being the second Ramadan second Ramadan in the pandemic as well, in this whole COVID situation. So I just like to go around and say, have everyone talk about what does Ramadan mean to them.
But before we do that, can we do a brief explanation of what is Ramadan in general? And then we can, let's do that for our listeners, especially, those of us who may not know. And see, exactly.
Sorry, jumping ahead. But yes, so Ramadan is the 9th month of the lunar calendar for Muslims. It is a month of fasting. The Muslims fast from 29 to 30 days, depending again on the moon sighting is when we start, and when the new moon is sighted again at the end of the month, end of that cycle, we stop fasting for that period of time. During that period of time, we fast from after our morning prayer, which is Fajr, which is the morning prayer. We eat a meal, which is called Zuhur, Suhoor. That is like the breakfast or the early morning meal. We take that meal, and then we go from after Fajr, we go from Fajr all the way to Maghrib. Maghrib is the 4th prayer of the day, the early evening prayer. And at Maghrib, just before Maghrib, we break our fast at the time of Maghrib. We break our fast with what we call iftar, 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 or the break fast meal. or what some people call breakfast, what we call the breakfast meal for us. During that time, we take a date. It is the way of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He used to break fast with dates. It's not mandatory for you to break fast with a date. I'm not a big fan of dates, but anything that's natural, that is in a natural state, that comes from the earth, that has not been modified or touched by man. So it could be another piece of fruit. As long as something natural with some water, we break our fast. After that, we pray Maghrib, which is the early evening prayer again, and then after Maghrib, we eat our meal, which would be our second meal of the day. We only had breakfast, so we eat our general meal as if it was dinner time. And then if you want to eat again before you go to bed, you can. It's up to you. Some people do, some people don't. But during this time, it's a serious time for reflection, a serious time of reflection for ourselves as individuals, but also a serious time of reflection as we gain closer to our Creator, to Allah, to God, in prayer. We pray our 5 daily prayers, but also there is other prayers that we pray in the night. Like, for instance, the Taraweeh prayer, which is the late night prayer after Isha. Isha is the 5th prayer of the day. All these prayers from Fajr, Zohr, midday, Asr, Zohr early afternoon, Asr midday, Maghrib early evening, Isha at night, those are fard, those are obligatory. The Taraweeh prayer is extra. It's something that is an extra prayer for extra blessings. And those who stand in the night, late into the night praying, is major blessings, and sins of that person, it can be and will be forgiven on the day of judgment. So a serious time for reflections, serious time for us learning more about our Prophet's life, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his life, his character, what he stood about as a man of faith, as a prophet, and as a father, and as a husband, and as a governor. He was more than just he had a lot of roles and responsibilities. So we want to study his life and model ourselves after that, because his wife, Lady Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, was a scholar. Not just a wife, she was a scholar. She wrote many hadiths or reports on the Prophet's life because she lived with him. She said of her husband that he was the Quran living, which means that he lived the book, he lived the revealed scripture. So this is who we try to emulate ourselves after.
And during the month of Ramadan, what was revealed?
Yes, the Quran was revealed. That's why.
Okay, because that I was like, wait a minute, we're missing a piece, and so and for those who are not familiar, I guess that's important to know, like, why the Ramadan is the time for everything that you explained. Yeah.
Yes, the Quran was revealed during Ramadan, and the first few ayats of Surah of Iqra, read the first few ayats of that surah was revealed, and then the rest, of course, during the Prophet's life was revealed during his life. So again, a serious time of reflection. We practice self-restraint. So again, not just eating and drinking, but also just if you have bad habits during the time before Ramadan, you want to cut those bad habits out. Like if you were using vulgar language, if you were lying or cheating, or any type of immoral action that us as humans, we tend to make mistakes, or we tend to be people of habit. We're creatures of habit. During Ramadan, you have to put a stop to that. Something you have to put a stop to that. You have to start to develop new habits during the month of Ramadan that will help to carry you over after Ramadan. See, a lot of people sometimes just say, okay, we fast. After Ramadan, we go back to doing what we're doing. No. The purpose of Ramadan too is to establish better, healthy habits for you as an individual and as a community as well. But for you as an individual, to establish more healthier practices of lifestyle, so you can carry it out through the rest of Ramadan. And the goal is to have our sins forgiven, and our intentions are set to make Ramadan to fast those 29 to 30 days, and the goal is for us to come out clean come out reborn, in the aspect of reborn in the aspect of our sins being forgiven, is a chance and a big opportunity for that. And that's why it's also a very special month for the Muslims. And the Quran says that it was prescribed, even fasting was prescribed to the people of the book prior. So those who of the Jewish tradition, Moses, may Allah be pleased with him, the Jews fast. The Jews were fasting, and they still fast during certain periods of their faith tradition, and the Christians. We was looking, me and Dean was looking into how many times the term fasting was mentioned in the Bible, and there's so many occurrences that of fasting mentioned in the Bible. And actually, it does mention in a couple verses of the New Testament about fasting for self-restraint. That fasting was observed even by the Christians in the Bible as well. So yes,
maybe you could bring that up later on, because I was going to read some of the verses in the Quran, so maybe we can get into that later a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean,
all right, so we'll talk about, I guess at this point we'll talk about sort of what that all means to us, right? So that's Ramadan in the general sense of what it is, why it is, what do we do. But for us personally, let's jump into that so that people get a sense for, how the Muslims view the month of Ramadan from a personal perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Am I starting? I guess I'll start since I did that, right? So for me, Ramadan is a time to, Bilal talks about reflection, but I feel like it's a time to sort of realign yourself with what you proclaimed when you made the decision to be Muslim, right? Because we often are in the hustle and bustle of day-to-day life. Sometimes we're moving so fast that some of the things that we do participate in, some of the habits, but I also talks about habits, some of that stuff gets off track, right? And so because Ramadan is this time where we are conscious, we're particularly conscious of the fact, not that we're not conscious every day of these things, because we should be, but because that particular time of year is this, uniquely conscious point for us, it feels like a still moment. Life is still happening around us, but you're not doing some of the things that you normally do. You're not eating during those after the Fajr prayer comes in and before the Maghrib. So you're not eating. And for people who haven't fasted before, sometimes you get that, you're not eating, I couldn't do that, or aren't you hungry type of thing. But really, when you're in that state of fasting, you're super focused. And I wanted to make sure that I said that when it was my turn to speak, because that's such a misconception amongst people. Like, you're not eating, you've got to be suffering. And it's like, no, I'm actually like on my A game, because the focus during fasting is indescribable. For me also, it's a time to reconnect. So when I think about Ramadan in my house with my girls, we're make as many prayers as we're able to do together, because obviously I'm working during the day, but when we're together and we're praying, for me, I decorate my house. I don't know who else does that, but I definitely like spruce up my house. We got balloons, we got lights, it's a whole vibe in here. But it's a time for us to reconnect. We're getting up together and we're having sahur. And my girls go in for sahur. I'm gonna just let y'all know right now, like, they have the alarm set because they're gonna get up and like make this magnificent breakfast for themselves. And so it's just that togetherness, right? We're all doing the same thing. And even though now we're in the pandemic, usually when it's time to break the fast and we're having iftar, we're in the masjid, right? We're in the masjid with a bunch of other Muslims. And so that's even like this indescribable experience to have all of the Muslims together in the masjid. Like the masjids are full during Ramadan for the Maghrib prayer and then the iftar, and that it's like a big family reunion. And you just think about how you feel when you're at your family reunion. People you haven't seen in forever are all together, and they're together for this purpose. Like that's just a good feeling. It's just a really, really good feeling. And then one thing I don't think that you mentioned, Bilal, maybe you did. Forgive me if I missed it, but we're reading a 30th of the Quran each day. So that's where that whole reminder and remembrance comes in to connect us back to those that initial declaration that we made when we became Muslim, right? So it's like, well, how do you, I guess if I wasn't Muslim, the question would be like, well, then, like, okay, you're not eating and you're refraining from certain things, but how do you connect back to the religion, right? And so for us is that we're reading by the end of Ramadan. The goal is to have read the entire Quran. So we're reading a 30th of it each day, with the hopes of getting to day 30 and sometimes 29, but to getting to that point and having read the entire Quran so that you reconnect with the words of your Lord. So it's just a beautiful experience. And some of it, like I'm describing what it means to me, but I feel like my words are not doing it any justice because it's a whole experience that you feel. It's just this beautiful time to be together and just to reconnect, not just with the Quran and with connecting yourself back to Allah, but even each other. Yeah. So your turn, somebody.
I had a little background. It's okay. Yeah, so Ramadan, in addition to all of what you all said, it's broken up into 3 parts. The first 10 days, we seek the mercy of God. The second 3 is the second of the third. I like to say, like the trimester, our women, they go through the 3 stages of the development with the baby in the womb. So the first 10 is mercy, second 10 is forgiveness, and third 10, the third of third, is the protection or the deliverance from the hellfire, not to go to the fires of our passions. And I want to focus on that last 10 because I remember me growing up Muslim. My father, he would that's the only time we didn't see our father every day, and he would go away to the masjid and spend the last 10 days in reflection, as Sister Marsha mentioned.
What they call Ishtikaf.
Itikaf. And it's a seclusion, it's separation from the world affairs, it's separation from as you mentioned, the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And it was something that the Prophet, peace be upon him, did, and that's how he received revelation. He would step away from everything from society and seek guidance, seek answers. And in that seclusion, that's where we believe he received revelation during the month of Ramadan. And so I know I've done it a couple of times when I was younger, a couple of times as an adult. And it definitely, for me, gives you an experience. In addition to the fasting and the reading of the Quran, it gives you a sense of a higher purpose, right? How life would be without you. Some people don't go to that extreme. Some people still do business. They just be in the masjid. But some others actually like shut everything down. Like, so they try to get all their affairs in order. And it's a sign of death, really, to this world. And even the whole Ramadan itself is a sign of death to this world's influence by way of, as you get reflecting on the Quran, doing these things that impact our whole life. And one thing I thought about when you all were saying that the term itself, right? A lot of imams and scholars, when they address Ramadan, they talk about the term itself as it meaning extreme heat, right? And I thought about now that I'm on this little cleanse, right? You have to present the best to your body, right? And so when you're like in a state of heat, when you're working out, like you lose a lot of weight, you lose a lot of excess, right? So it is with Ramadan. We're going through this practice, we're going through this regiment, this training for our mind, for our soul, for our spirit, and our body, we lose those things, those extras that could have been weighing us down. So that's what Ramadan, in a nutshell, means to me in my brief reflections. I was able to find a couple of that. Now, so we can wait to have you in transition.
Let's talk about, for me. I started fasting. Actually, I'm gonna start my story. I started fasting before I reached puberty. Just seeing my parents do it. I just thought it was cool. Like, I was like, I just want to try it. Like, my mom would tell you quickly that, I started fasting, like I said, before puberty. So, and it's not, again, it's not mandatory for those who haven't reached puberty to fast. It's not mandatory. But once you reach the age of puberty, for men and for boys and for girls, then it's obligatory. But I was doing it just out of, like I said, observation of my family doing it, my parents, and I've been doing it ever since. And one thing is for sure, for me, it's just a lot of good things, blessed things have happened to my family during Ramadan. Testimony, just like, you never know, Allah's close. The angels descend closer to during this time for the believers to protect them. You're asking a lot during this time for things that you need in your life, that are pertinent to our well-being, and Allah will bless you in it. Like, it's just a testimony. Like, like Sister Marsha did say, like, it's hard to put it in words, like, how much, you really feel about it, because it's like, it's just so much. It's like, it's so much, it's so much, it's just so much, because it's just, you gain, you're stopping what you're doing. I mean, you continue what you're doing, but you're really giving reverence to the Creator. Like, you're giving time out. Like, most of us, we work we work maybe 12, 10, 8, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. Some of us work maybe 7 days a week. Some of us work 2 jobs. When do you have time out? When do you have time out to actually read your scripture, for us, the Quran, pray, pray in the night, sacrifice some sleep to get in some extra prayers, get in some extra du'as or supplications to your Creator, and feel that closeness. It's a very spiritual, it can be a very spiritual time as well. A spiritually healing time, cleansing time. And I like to see Ramadan, personally, for me, as a change of a filter. Sometimes we have filters for our water, for your faucets. And like, after a while, you may have to change the filter because it may get a little rusty, a little dirty. That's how I see Ramadan. It's a filtration system for us. You do it, you go through it for the 29, 30 days. And after that, your filter is clean. Your filter is pure. So the water is coming out. You have clean water. You won't have like those OD, like a bunch of metals and like just dirt and garbage in there. Like that's the habits. The metals and the dirt is your habits that we're shedding. We're shedding it. So for me, it's just a time where I enjoy, like Sister Marsha mentioned, going to the masjid and being with other Muslims for breakfast, for iftar. Now, unfortunately, we can't have it because of the pandemic, so I do miss it. I'm gonna be honest, I really do miss it. I love being with my family. I think last Ramadan awarded me to establish myself as more of the imam of the house, and well, last few years, but more so during this pandemic, established my role as imam, as one who's leading the prayer in the house. There are prayers in the house, and etc. So that's Ramadan. That's how last year Ramadan went for me. There was another thing I wanted to say too, about this particular. Yeah, I mean, about the Taraweeh prayers, the late night prayer. I just wanted to be clear that since we did mention that this is a special late night prayer that's made during the month of Ramadan, the Taraweeh prayer, the Prophet, was reported to have said that he came out one time to pray the Taraweeh prayer with the fellow believers, with the community, with the congregation. And then after a while, you didn't see the Prophet. They didn't see him again, and they was wondering, "Oh, where's the Prophet? How come he's not outside praying with us? In the masjid?" He said, "Where is he at?" He said, "Well, we saw the Prophet. He's home. He's home with his family praying." So it's also important too, just to show that I know a lot of people, you may hear bustle to the masjid to pray Salatul Tawee, but it could be prayed also with your family at home. The importance of establishing prayer at home too is so important. Like Marsha said, establishing being with your daughters, your children during this time. I think it's very important. So don't want to leave. Don't want to. I don't want to us to. I want us to brace both. The masjid is the masjid, but also a masjid Allahu Masjid al Ard. The earth is Allah's masjid. So you need to establish prayer and establish at home as well. So yes, that's what it means to me.
Yeah, and you talked about fasting early before puberty, and my girls also did that. I think I feel like Aaliyah started fasting at like, I don't know, 7 or 6 or something, but Amina and Anissa probably started somewhere around 9 or 10, and I guess just seeing their parents fast and wanting to see if they could actually do it. For I think initially it was sort of like a challenge to see if they could make it through the day, and now it's just a normal thing for them. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to say too was that it was nice, even even in the pandemic, it was nice to see that the various masjids, they got creative with the fact that we weren't able to come together for the iftars, right? So many masjids did a grab and go iftar where we brought the food to the masjid, we put them in takeout trays, and then people just came by the masjid, grabbed their food, and we did it early enough so that they were able to go home in time enough to break the fast, to make the Maghrib prayer, and then have that time with their family. So that was really, it was just really nice to see that even though we were in a pandemic, we didn't let that completely stop our traditional practices. So that was a beautiful thing as well. I know here, so I attend Masjid Muhammad Newark. I know this year we will be doing the grab and go iftars again. So that should be exciting. And even just for me, it's the whole coming together. Like I love togetherness. So anytime that is happening, that is like something that I enjoy. But it was good last year to do it. Like for me and my girl, I would get off of work, go pick my girls up, go to the masjid, and they were even into it. Like, are we going to the masjid today? Serving the food, putting everything in the bags, giving it out to the people. And it wasn't just Muslims that we were giving the food out to. It was the general community as well. But, obviously the Muslims were coming by the masjid because they were breaking their fast. But, there were, the indigenous people in the area who, needed a meal, and we were providing it for them as well. So the other thing to point out about Ramadan is that it's a time for us to be more generous than we've ever been as well.
Absolutely.
So you'll see that, a lot of people they give of themselves, they give of their resources for the greater good of the community. And that's just beautiful to see, because as we said before, we're not always in that state. Sometimes we're just going so fast. And to just sort of bring yourself back to the center, to the middle, is good. And then it shows you that you can do it, right? So some of the things that we make seem so hard or so impossible, we do it for 30 days straight, 29 days straight, with ease in a lot of cases. And so it teaches us I guess just how strong, we say the word strong, I guess how strong we are, but what we're capable of, our abilities. We can bring you mentioned earlier, like, well, if you have foul language, then that's a time to sort of correct that. Like, you can do it. Some of these things that we feel like are so much a part of who we are and we can't shut it off, we shut it off for that time. So it shows you that you could do that full time if you focused on doing that. So yeah, just wanted to point those things out.
I would like to also to land back. We don't piggyback. We don't eat the pig. That's a joke. I don't know. Anyway,
As long as you don't snake back, Aki. You know what I mean?
Right.
oh no. Anyway, but to on your points, Marsha, about feeding the fasting and feeding the indigent. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, prayers and blessings be upon him, had said, reported to have said in the hadith, or hadiths are just the hadiths are the reports of the sayings of the Prophet. What he has said. It says whoever feeds a person breaking his fast will earn the same reward as him, and without anything being lessened from the reward of the fasting person. So basically saying the importance of us giving feeding the fasting person and feeding those who are in need during this time is very much important. It's very much vital. It's a multiplied blessing that will count for us on the day of judgment. And also, I just want to say too, the reason why Marsha brought up, we talk about vulgar language and behavior like this, behavior like that during the month of Ramadan. So if you do slip up, or if you do those things repeatedly during the Ramadan, that can break your fast. Those things constitute breaking your fast. Meaning what? Meaning once you curse and repeatedly do it over and over again during Ramadan, you will have to make up those days after Ramadan. I just want to be clear that there is a standard of rules that constitute a fasting person breaking their fast, meaning that you violated self-restraint. You didn't exercise self-restraint. You didn't show self-restraint. You violated that, so now you have to make that day up after Ramadan is complete. Now, I also want to be clear too that those who are sick, physically sick,
I wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, not obligated to make the fast. Those who are women who are breastfeeding and who are pregnant are not obligated to fast neither.
Also, for women, when you're on your menstrual cycle, you're not fasting during that time period either. So for most women, after the 30 days, you're still making up some days of that fast for the days that you didn't fast during the month of Ramadan. And so that's important to mention for people who are unfamiliar with Ramadan as well, is that for the days that you do miss during the Ramadan, you do have an opportunity to make those up. And it's suggested that you do that because that is obligatory for you to obviously observe the Ramadan. So if you're not doing the full period during those 30 days, and you have to make up, the goal is to make up the days that you have that you did not fast.
Right. And also the traveling person. So if you're traveling to Ramadan, there's certain schools of thought, but generally speaking, you're not obligated. It's not obligated for you to fast if you're traveling outside of your location. Meaning that if, say, for instance, Marsha is leaving Newark, she's going to Cali, or she's going overseas, she's not obligated to keep the fast. She can make up those days after Ramadan is over. So the traveling person also gets traveling, what they call mercy as well. So this is, again, just to show that this is a merciful time.
Right.
That the Creator is merciful. He knows our condition. He knows our state, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So Al-Islam is not a straitjacket. Like, it's so tight. People say, "Oh, so tight, you're so strict."
And people try to make it seem that way. There's sort of this perception about it. So I'm glad that you even mentioned that, because that perception is out there. And so it's important for us, when we have these kinds of conversations, to be real about sort of the perception that does exist about it. But as you just mentioned, there's so many mercies in it, right? Like, it's not to hold you hostage to it's this and this only. Like, there are so many mercies in it. If there are days you can't fast, then there's a clause in there to be able to make it up. Like, it's not this stringent, hard way. It's supposed to be this beautiful time of coming back to what's original, to what's natural, to what's pure. And so I'm just glad that you mentioned the part about, the straight jacket, because, a lot of this perception out there like that. But once you sort of experience it for yourself, you get to know that it's not as tight as you thought. I didn't grow up Muslim, so for you and for Dean, you both grew up Muslim. So sometimes when I think about your experiences, it's that it's sort of, I feel like it's ingrained for you because that's what you knew growing up. I didn't grow up Muslim, so go ahead.
I have a question, Marsha.
Sure.
How was your first Ramadan? Like, honestly, as a Muslim.
I don't even know if I can remember that. And it's so funny but I'm laughing because so for me, I was actually going to the masjid before I even took Shahada. I probably was going to the masjid for about 4 years before I ever took Shahada. Okay. And you mentioned, for women, like when we're breastfeeding or pregnant, we're not fasting. And I feel like for those early years, like there was a lot of not fasting for me because I was either pregnant or breastfeeding for a minute. I was like, wait, is this a lot of years and not fasting? But I was either pregnant or breastfeeding for a good few years. So, but fasting wasn't hard for me. And I know there's some Muslims like that they have to do this whole like prep to get into fasting mode, right? Like before Ramadan, they do like maybe a couple of days. They may do the Prophet's fast where they're fasting the Monday and the Thursday, as the Prophet Muhammad did. And as a preparation going into Ramadan. Me personally, I never needed that. Like if tomorrow was Ramadan, I could jump into fasting. But that's me. Some people may need sort of that prep to get ready for the Ramadan, just to get used to not eating during the day. But again, that was a long time ago. So, but from what I can remember, it wasn't a difficult thing. The reading part of it probably was more of a challenge because, it's reading the 30th each day. And because the Quran was unfamiliar to me at the time, it wasn't just about reading the 30th of the day. It was also about understanding all that I read, right? So I could read something and maybe not exactly connect to everything. And I think that's the case even, being a Muslim all these years now. There are things that going through each day, reading it, that may not hit me the way that it may hit me another day. So, that probably was, and I don't even know if I consider that difficult, but maybe that was the most challenging part, is to be able to read the Quran in the 30 days, just stay on that schedule. And then even with staying on that schedule, both reading something that's unfamiliar to me and then trying to connect the understandings of some of it. I remember when I first became Muslim, like, because I grew up Christian, there were some things that I had to like it wasn't necessarily, I don't want to say it was a battle, but there were some things that I had to undo in my mind. So while I was still observing the components of the Ramadan, or observing Islam in general, I would, at the same time, I was undoing some things, unlearning some things that weren't beneficial. And so it just took a little longer to connect. The way I talk now about my connection to Ramadan wasn't that back then, because there was some work that needed to be done before I was able to have the connection that I talk to you about today.
Got it. I think there's also a misconception too, for us who were perhaps born into Al-Islam, born into Muslim families, and different things like that. That Ramadan is not even challenging for us because, hey, why should it be challenging for you? It should be easy peasy. Ramadan is a challenge no matter if you're a revert, born into it, whatever the case is. It's a challenge because, again, that self-restraint piece of we're not just talking about eating and drinking. That might be a challenge for some people, but I'm talking about the other parts that we talked about, the other habits that we built up,
Right. Or just that looking in the mirror, right? Nobody wants to look in the mirror and see all the ugly stuff. Like that's relevant to everyone, Muslim, non-Muslim. Like you got to look in the mirror and see the ugly stuff and then fix it. Like, come on, that's not Muslim, non-Muslim. You grew up Muslim, you didn't grow up Muslim. Like that's just a challenge, regardless.
Yep. Exactly. And even sometimes too, man, like, there's sometimes when, and again, the creator is merciful too. There's another report, another hadith of the prophet. So like, say for instance, I know I caught myself a couple of times, like putting a breath mint in my mouth. Like it's out of habit. Like just I always carry mints in my pocket. But like just out of habit, like sometimes you may catch yourself like, oh shoot, I'm fasting.
Right, I'm fasting, right.
But the prophet said, this is a hadith that says the prophet said that even if you did and you recognize that you did do that, they said keep going with the fast. Like just keep going with that day. Don't say, oh,
right. You're not gonna be eating mints for the rest of the day, but right.
But it's again that consciousness and that awareness of what you're supposed to be doing in this time. This is supposed to be peaking our we should be peaking in our awareness and consciousness of what we're supposed to be doing as it says, as it's been given to us by the creator. So all of this is to like strengthen our consciousness and awareness of that. That's all this is. This is like a strengthening. This is like almost like
reconditioning training.
Yeah, like working out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. And the other thing to point out too, I mean, we didn't talk about it, but like for married couples, you're not having any sexual relations with your spouse either, during from Fajr to the Maghrib time. You're not you're not having that. And that's for focus, right? Like to just, gain that focus, to be clear. Right. Yeah, you're refraining from that as well.
But after Maghrib, you can return to your tilaf.
I knew Bilal was going to go there.
You can absolutely return. Yes, you can absolutely connect after that. But
no, you can. No, it is.
Right. But it's a refocus. It's definitely a refocus. It's a keep your mind on Allah, keep your mind on the instructions in the Quran. And so, yeah.
Yes. My brother Hassan Ali says, LOL, I remember I used to use mouthwash sometimes during my fast because I'm usually talking to others at work. Yeah. No one talks about that.
Funny. That's funny because you mentioned the best breath mint because when you're fasting, your breath don't be fresh.
That's another report, right, Bilal? You want to share that report about the breath of the faster?
Oh yeah, I don't have that.
I remember it.
I don't have that report in front of me, but I know during this time, if you come into contact with a Muslim, for those who are not Muslim who listen, you may find, oh, your breath stink, man. Like, no, please, this is very important. During this
just
time,
don't come too close,
but don't talk too much.
Well, look, we got the 6 feet because of the pandemic, so we should be good.
These masks don't help either, but
right.
So our masks we're gonna be smelling our breath in these masks too. Us too. We're gonna be smelling our own breath. But
right.
What is the report? The fasting breath about the fasting breath, Aki?
It's like perfume. Allah reviews it as perfume.
Yeah. It's perfume, but we don't want to offend nobody. Obviously, we're not trying to be offensive to nobody. This is
exactly.
This is our time. Please excuse us during this time. I mean, not to say that people can't brush their teeth. I mean, guess whatever if you want to, but this is an important time for us. And hopefully people understand, and we want to understand too. We want to answer your questions. That's why we had this platform tonight to be able to answer anyone's questions that they had about Ramadan. This is Ramadan 101. This is a crash course. Obviously, it's much more about Ramadan that we didn't touch this evening. that we haven't touched. We haven't touched.
I wanted to mention something too.
The Night of Power. We haven't touched the Night of Power.
Okay. Before you talk about the Night of Power, I just wanted to mention to people because Al-Islam, it follows a lunar calendar. The months have 30 days, right? So it's not the same Gregorian calendar that we use here in the United States. So Ramadan, right now we'll be observing it starting in April, but every year it's moving back. I don't know exactly how many days, but I usually like to say around 10 days or so, somewhere like that, right? So it's moving, further back into the year. And so there are times when we observe Ramadan, starting in July, and those are really long days of daylight. And then there are times that we've observed Ramadan in the winter where we have short days. And so those it's not, for some people, it's not as hard to fast because the daylight hours are shorter. And so because we're fasting during those daylight hours, it for a lot of people is a lot easier during the months when Ramadan comes into those shorter days. In the fall and the winter, but they're definitely when we were fasting in the summer, the day is long, and you may start your fast at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and then you're not breaking until like 8:30 at night. But then there are other times where you're breaking at like 5 o'clock because that's when the sun is going down. So I wanted to point that out too. But you mentioned the Night of Power.
No, it's good that you mentioned that too, because the seasons also, Ramadan falling in different seasons also presents its own separate challenges. Like Marsha, I mean, the summer is hot, you're fasting, it's hot. So if you work in construction, if you work in these jobs and you're out in the sun, like that's crazy, man. Like that's like
that's the sacrifice, right? So people do it. Yeah. People definitely do it.
Yeah, definitely do that.
But the sun does dehydrate you too, so you're not having, and that's the thing to point out too. Like we're not having water either.
Right.
Like a lot of people, when they think of fasting, they think of, oh, you're not eating, because we normally, when we're describing it, we're saying we're not eating, but we're not drinking either.
Yep, and that's more. So now, just heading a little bit, just briefly into the Night of Power, what they call what's called Laylatul al-Qadr. Is translated the Night of Power. Laylatul, the night. Qadr is Arabic for the power. Laylatul is Arabic for the night, which marks the night when the Quran was first revealed. Remember before, Marsha pointed out that the Quran was revealed during the month of Ramadan. So we don't know exactly when during the month of Ramadan did the Prophet receive revelation. It is said that there's on an odd night, because in Ramadan you have what they call even and odd nights. So in the odd night, so like if say for instance the 3rd day or the 5th day, or et cetera, it is said that any of those odd nights the Prophet could have received the revelation. Some general scholars, a lot of the general scholars of Al-Islam do say that the 27th night is when the Prophet received, or was when they think that the Prophet received the revelation. Again, but we don't know for certain. We don't know for sure. This night is very important because those who are standing in prayer, the believers who are standing in prayer during this particular night of power, it's very important. It's said to be the blessings are as if you prayed for 1,000 months. 1,000 months. So the blessings during this time is immense. So for the person who's praying on that particular night, that's why we shouldn't miss any day of prayer, even if it's an even night. If you're praying Tawheed, you should not miss any. Try not to miss. So this is important. So I just want to mention that the Laylatul Qadr, Night of Power, is when the Prophet first received the revelation. The Quran was sent down. So that's in brief of what the Night of Power is. Obviously, there's much more to get into that, but again. We appreciate you all for asking questions. If you have any more questions, feel free to answer those questions during this time. But also we have some announcements of some Ramadan announcements that are coming up during the month of Ramadan. And Dean, if you want to start bringing up those announcements, we give it to the people. For the believers.
I got a couple of them.
Okay, this is Ramadan Prep for Women. Sister Marsha, you mentioned Ramadan Prep. This is by an organization called AHAD, AHAD. I forgot what it stands for. It's a little small print, so I can't really see it. But Ramadan Prep for Women, cultivating a rich environment for you and your family. So this is for sisters. The topics include fueling ourselves physically and spiritually. Ramadan with the little ones. Remember, Sister Marsha said with the kids that can present a challenge, and it's a challenge and a blessing. Ramadan with teens. Okay, now some of us got teens now. They're not little babies no more. Joy, how to establish joy in your homes. One thing that Sister Marsha mentioned, she does little decorations for our apartment or house.
I do big decorations, not little big. I do big decorations. It's a whole vibe in here. Don't call my decorations little.
Season to life, and also creating and preserving traditions. Some guest speakers there. Some familiar with some of the sisters there. The second one is Usteda Aisha Prime. We have a couple lines down, Madam Quran Shaker from the Atlanta Masjid, W.D. Muhammad High School. There's a couple sisters on there. They don't have all their names on there, but this is all sisters workshop. That's Saturday, April 3rd, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. The registration link is there. bit.ly / Ramadan prep.
Yeah, I'll put it in the comments as well.
Yeah, we'll put it in the comments for the people so they can tap in, for the believers to tap in. The next one, we have a next announcement. We are doing Study Al-Islam. Sister Fitra Muhammad. Yes, here we go. The Study Al-Islam, our program has been going strong for a number of years. Shout out to Sister Fitra Muhammad out of Newark, New Jersey, now a native of DC, who has been holding this down. She's been putting this program together. This is every day in the month of Ramadan. There will be a speaker talking about the juz, which is the juz is that 30th reading of the Quran. We call it the juz. We read a juz each day, and each day in Ramadan there will be a presenter, an imam, a scholar, speaking about each of those juzes, each of those 30ths of the Quran. So we'll be simulcasting these workshops every day, starting at 10 a.m. They moved it back to accommodate those who like to read the Quran after Fajr, those who like to read their juz after Fajr prayer. This is to accommodate those and accommodate those on the West Coast as well, who were not able to make it at 5 a.m. So we will be at 10 a.m. It will be simulcasted here on the Freedom Exchange, all of these workshops. So please do tune in. There's a wonderful lineup of men and women who will be presenting during this time.
And before you go to the next slide, I just wanted to say, especially for our non-Muslim viewers, it would be good for you to tap into those daily study al-Islam sessions on the juzes that we are reading, because you get a synopsis of that section of the Quran from whoever is presenting, and I think it's a nice way for people to become familiar with the Quran from in that way. So if you're able to connect in with that, I'd suggest that you do so. I remember last year last year was earlier, so it was after we prayed Fajr, we would be up listening to the various speakers, and I know it was beneficial for me. So I try to put myself in the mindset of somebody who's not Muslim. Would that be helpful? And I think that Study Al-Islam would be
extremely helpful. Brother Jamal Khan says, "What do you normally eat for Zohar?" I usually eat something small. So does anyone want to go around and say what they eat for Zohar?
So, I mean, like I said earlier, my daughters, like, they go in, and I think, it's just because, especially when they were first fasting, it was kind of like, I'm not going to be able to eat all day. So, I'm going to make sure that I have something that I really like or I really want, and it's not like crazy in here. So let me not paint that picture, but like, I know some people like do, they have water and fruits and whatever, and that's it. And then, up in here, we like eggs, turkey bacon, we waffles, it's a whole, it's just
breakfast. It's all
it's
breakfast.
a whole breakfast up in here. Like we be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting the oven going.
Dedicated. That's dedication.
Yeah, like if my girls were never committed to that kind of thing any other time of the year, in the month of Ramadan, they definitely are. Like those alarms be on. Like I got to get up at like 3 to make whatever I want to make, and it's funny because the night before they're kind of like, oh, well, what we gonna have for sahur in the morning? It's a whole plan. It's a whole plan for them. But this year, Dean was talking about doing a cleanse. So I just finished my cleanse today. And so
Bilal got next.
Bilal, you got next.
You're next.
No, because Bilal's famous thing is like, where's the meat?
Where's the meat?
We gotta eat, beloveds. Where's the meat? I don't know, but we gonna ease him into a cleanse. But this year, especially since I just finished the cleanse, and during the days that I was cleansing, I sort of changed my eating habits. So I think what I'll do this time around is I will do like the fruits in the morning and not do too much. I'm not a big eater anyway. So like I don't have to eat. So I don't have to eat like Bilal eat during the day. Because let me tell you something. If Bilal don't get his 3 meals,
good night.
Good night. Okay, Bilal be like, "What are we doing, beloveds? Where's the meat?"
You're not gonna live that down.
No, you're not gonna live that down at all. I was like, how often do you eat? Gosh, I don't even eat. I mean, even
what else? Well,
I'm good with eating like once or twice a day, but yeah. Brother Jamal asked what type of cleanse it was. So we were doing a D-herbs cleanse. Dean was just doing he didn't have the herbal supplements. He was just doing, he was just doing, so it's raw. So basically on the D-herbs cleanse, you take herbal supplements throughout the day, and then you eat clean for the whole, if you're doing the full body cleanse, you eat clean for the whole 20 days. So no sugar, no salt, nothing cooked. So I literally was eating
21.
No, 20.
Oh, 20. I got that in there.
Yeah, 20 days. I was eating salads, fruits. You can have nuts as long as they're seasoned with sea salt, not anything else. And I always wanted to do it, and I was like, let me do it before Ramadan, because I know like when we do the grab and go iftars, like I'm gonna want my fish. So I made sure that I did it before Ramadan. So today is actually my last day, and really, they say you can lose up to 20 pounds with it. I wasn't doing it so much for the weight loss, but I probably lost about 10 pounds or so, but I feel really good. So, any sort of toxins and all of that you had in your body, you were supposed to alleviate that stuff out of your body. So, I'm just like, ooh, yeah, right. And the Brother Jamal also said it cleans out your colon. So all of that, the herbal supplements, they all are designated to some part of your body. So there's like a blood cleanse, a cleanse to your lymphatic system, your cardiovascular system, your colon. So I feel really good. That's the biggest benefit, is that I feel really, really good. So the clean eating helped.
But what kind of herbal supplements? What kind of herbal supplements are they?
So, and I don't have the stuff in front of me, so right. I would have to, read off what's in all of that stuff. But
okay, let me just clarify something. Marsha said I like meat and all this other stuff.
Yeah, he do. No, don't try to fix it now. Don't try to fix it now. Look, no meat, Brother Bilal. Let me tell you something. That brother needs to eat 3 times a day, or it's a wrap.
Let me clarify something real quick. For me, for Zohar, I generally eat oatmeal, something with fiber, oatmeal with fruits, bananas, blueberries, strawberries if they're in season. I mean, obviously, with fruits that are in season. Water, I try to drink as much water as I can hold. At that time, get hydrated because we're not drinking. So not just about food, we're not drinking anything. So, try to get hydrated as much as you can without like going too crazy. So I generally just eat like a waffle. Not a waffle. Sometimes I may have waffles, but generally oatmeal and bananas, fruits, stuff like that. And yes, iftar is meat. Iftar is meat. Yes, iftar is meat. Definitely the meat. The vegetables are there. So Marsha, I do my share of vegetables, the salads, the broccoli and stuff like that. So the salads is there, and the fruit, of course, with iftar is there. I generally don't have an appetite after iftar. Sometimes maybe a bowl of cereal at the late night tip, but like I generally don't really feel like the last few years. I know before like for like a couple years ago, like maybe eat a third meal, but like I don't try to squeeze in a third meal.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Some people like when you go when we were coming together in the masjid for the iftar, you see them plates like piled up, and I'm like, oh, I can't eat like that because what happens too when you're fasting because you're not eating, your stomach is shrinking.
Yeah.
So you really can't eat that much without feeling like stuffed, and I don't like that feel. I don't like eating to the capacity where like I can't move. I don't like that. So, but sometimes you see some brothers with them plates piled up, trying to make up for what you didn't eat all day. That's hard for me. I can't. Just give me a plate and I'm good. Maybe sometimes after we broke the fast and we ate, maybe I have some sweets or something like that because that's always nice. Desserts there. But outside of that, I can't have like another meal because you're gonna be. First of all, you're trying to maybe go to bed, after you've fulfilled all the prayers because you're going to be right back up. There's not a lot of sleep during the month of Ramadan. You really are sacrificing your sleep because by the time you get to bed, you're going to be back up like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about those who pray Tahajjud before Fajr.
Right.
Another special prayer before get up before
Right.
Fajr. The Prophet used to go to bed couple hours and get up in the last third of the night and pray
the night, yeah.
the Tahajjud, which you can pray 2-4 rakats. They don't have to be long, it could be short, have to be long rakats or a long prayer, but generally that we're not even including those people who generally do that as part of, and some people want to make that a habit during Ramadan, so you're generally not getting hardly any sleep because you just want to make sure that you're trying to get that forgiveness piece, that what we said, mercy, forgiveness, and that emancipation of the fireman. You know what I'm saying? So you may sacrifice, you may get like 2, 3, 4, maybe 2-3 hours of sleep, and that's it, man. And then I'm not talking about the cat naps. You should take some cat naps if you have some luxury. If you're luxury working from remote home, maybe you would take that cat nap or what they call that siesta, in the tradition of our brothers and sisters in Latin America, which it finds to be very healthy for you to take, and sunnah actually. It is the Prophet, ﷺ, praise and blessings be upon him, used to take a nap in midday. I
was gonna say during the day, if you can get it in, it would be good. And a lot of times, I know when we would go into the masjid before, we were waiting for the Maghrib prayer to come in. Sometimes you might be sitting there taking a little, siesta, because you didn't get a bunch of sleep at night. But Ramadan is beautiful to me. I love it. I just love us coming together and doing that whole, observing that whole time together. We do so many things in isolation, and I have a feeling that once the pandemic, has ended and we're back to whatever this new normalcy will be for us, and we're able to actually come together in large groups. Like I think those Ramadans and those Eids are going to be like
they're gonna be popping.
They're gonna be popping. You talk about a family reunion, like it's gonna be like I just envision it as being like this magnificent time together because everybody's gonna want to come out and be together and we were already doing that, but just to know that we had to stay in isolation for so long, and now we're able to come back. I just feel like so many more people are going to come out. And you find too that like during this time, people who are not Muslim, like, you know, in solidarity, observe some of this with you. Like I know my brother, growing up, like he had a few friends that were Muslim, and so in solidarity, he would fast. You know, he would fast, you know, in solidarity with some of his friends. And so, you know, that's sort of nice to see as well. But I think it's a good time to learn more about Al-Islam for anyone.
Another thing that I took as a challenge to myself, and I also would offer to you all and those who are listening a challenge as well. I know now we can't do it as much. I know about the Ramadan before last, like I went to a different masjid every day, a different community also, not just an association or African American. Like I went to the Turks, the Ahmadi, I went to like the Indian, I went to like everywhere. And it was amazing to see how, you know, other people in our same faith, but different culture, how they observe the fast as well and how they come together and embrace each other as well. So we encourage also those of you who, you know, we're going to be doing Quran reading. Also check out what other Muslim groups are doing and learn from them as well. Because that expands, because this is a universal faith. You know, and so sometimes people who haven't traveled, you know, they think, especially if you're in America, you think it's just, you know, black or Arab. Maybe those are the two, black and Arab, right? But when you're Muslim and you know that other people are observing the fast of all cultures, it's just an added feature to the Ramadan.
Definitely. And don't forget that other people are fasting. The Muslims is what? How many Muslims are there in the world? Like 3.
2 out of 5 they're saying now? Now they're saying 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Yeah, 2 out of 5. So you think about Muslims fasting from all over the world, and
almost 2 billion.
Yeah, 2 billion. So don't forget, we're fasting here. The season now is spring, but some other people is fasting in summer. So there is actually, I saw a map one time of how many hours of people are fasting. Like, you know, and then of course Iceland with those days of darkness.
The black moon, they got
It's different. It's different throughout different parts of the world. It's the same Ramadan, but again, the time, the earth, the time, again, the geographical location does present a challenge in itself. And I would implore too, once we get out of this pandemic, if we can, to travel to another country and actually do Ramadan in another country. You know, so I'm saying if people have the luxury and the expense to do so, just to get that other feeling too. I know Muslims who go over to Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and they spend the whole Ramadan there. They do Umrah there, which is the lesser, what they say, the lesser of the Hajj, but it's important. If you can't make it to Hajj, you do Umrah. It's cheaper comparison to a little more expensive.
And that's the pilgrimage to the Kaaba, for those who don't know.
Yeah, pilgrimage to the Kaaba, which we make. Actually, we didn't talk about this, but that'll be another show. 3 months after Ramadan is Hajj season. 3 months. 3 months from right now, after Ramadan, after mid-May would be Hajj. You know, Hajj season to the Kaaba, to pilgrimage to the Mecca, which is a whole nother component itself, because that is another chance and opportunity that we get to go not only visit the house of Allah, or the house built by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ishmael. There's also mercy. There's also another opportunity for us to get our sins forgiven, to come out reborn, renew again through that process as well. So again, that's another show where we'll discuss more about the importance of Hajj, which will be 3 months after Ramadan, inshallah. And of course, now Hajj season will be COVID. Last year there was no Hajj season because of COVID. This year you have to get COVID shot in order to go to Hajj.
And I think it's still going to be limited to the number of pilgrims.
There's millions of people go to Hajj every year. And it's another beautiful sight too, to see all the Muslims from different countries, different ethnicities. So it's just a religion for Arabs. It's not just religion for that. When you go to Hajj, you want to see everybody. Just like when Malcolm X, you went autobiography of Malcolm X when he wrote about his experience at Hajj, when he saw all those different types of people, and he saw the people, the Caucasian, he saw the white man on Hajj. But that's another story. But that's another time.
Right, and then one thing we didn't touch on. I mean, we mentioned it, but you know, once we're done, once we reach the end of Ramadan, we have a 3-day celebration. So we have our Eid, and we're celebrating for 3 days. The end of the Ramadan, and you know, that's tons of food. But it's tons of food, it's togetherness, it's fun. Like especially when we're in the months where it's nice outside, we're in the parks.
Yes.
There's a lot for the children. We got the bouncy houses, we have the game trucks, we have music, we have food. You know, it's just a great time to be together. Like it's a party. It's a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe. But it's again, it's back to that whole togetherness. We did this, we accomplished it together, we made it through. You know, the hopes is that we made it through as better people. Yeah. Better Muslims, but better people in general. I mean, we say the term Muslim, and sometimes that gets a little political for people, or just it feels divisive for people. But we're just when we're saying Muslim, we're saying that we're in our natural state of being. So, you know, we're celebrating that we are, you know, we've made it through that time, and that we are we functioned in a state of being our natural selves, right? And the hopes is that we carry that on beyond the Ramadan, that we become better, that we do better, that we attain a little bit more restraints, you know, connection to Allah, reconnection to our families, recommitment to our communities, all of that. So yeah, the Eids are popping. The Eids are definitely popping. But it's just a great time to be together and to see everyone and to know that we did this all together. So I'm looking forward to that too, like when we can do that all together. And even last year, you know, communities got really creative with what they did in terms of the Eid. I know what we did here, we weren't able to come in the park together with everyone as we usually do during when the Eids are in the nice, when it's nice outside, but we did do a grab and go toy giveaway for our children, because our children look forward to that. Like I know, you know, some people focus on the fact that as our Muslim children don't, you know, they're not celebrating a Christmas, right? But we have 2 Eids during the year for our children, and that's the time that we give to our children. So we had a grab and go in the park where we set up, and we had hundreds of dollars of toys donated, and the families just drove up in their car. The children got out the car with their mask and picked out their toy, and we gave them, you know, goodie bags and all of that kind of stuff, and then they drove off, and we still were able to give to our children in that time. Because we were conscious in this area, we didn't want our children not to feel connected to the Ramadan, especially some of our little ones, they're not fasting. So we wanted them to still feel connected to that that moment for us. And so we found a way to still be able to give to them during the Eids. And so that was nice to be a part of as well.
Man, I used to be, I don't want to prolong, but I used to be geeked for, when I was young, I used to be geeked for Eid, man. Like, those gifts.
Let me tell you, my kids come home with so many gifts. My trunk be so full.
Be geeked for Eid,
I'm
man.
like, where y'all gonna put all this stuff?
New PlayStation.
Yeah.
You got the new PlayStation, Aki, for Eid?
They was hooking you up.
PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, man. I had to work for it, man. I had to earn it, man. You know, that's why Father's Day, you had to earn it. You know, so I'm saying you have to earn your gifts, man. It was no like.
I got a kite, man. You know what I got? I got a kite. We got a kite. They get gift cards. We got a kite when we was younger. We got the frisbees, the yo-yos. These guys getting game stations and gift cards.
Listen, we giving out good gifts up here.
Last year, the brother was giving out cars.
Oh wow, we had bikes. We had a councilwoman in Newark. She donated some stuff, like we had bikes, we had scooters. She had donated the helmets to go with the bikes too. But we was popping.
Beautiful, beautiful youngins. Y'all got it made right now. Y'all better.
Yeah.
For half a day. But anyway, we do got one more announcement.
Okay.
Drum roll this one because we're gonna be there live.
Oh yes, we can't forget. Yes, drum roll.
Do the drum roll. Hold on, where's the drum roll?
You gotta be ready with the drum roll.
Right, half a drum roll. Black Eye, here we go. Live and direct. Your new Freedom Exchange team will be there at the pre-Ramadan pop-up indoor outdoor event this coming, what's that, Sunday or Saturday? 4th.
Sunday
the 4th, hosted by one of our own, Imam Yasin Shabazz, and guest speaker, Imam Councilman Mustafa Brent. We also had the sister on our show, Sister Little. Yeah. So we'll be there, and we have some goodies. We have some debuts. I don't know if they're gonna let them know what it is. We're gonna squeeze it out of it.
We have bean pies for sale. We're gonna post the information up. Make your orders if you are in the Jersey area, especially around Newark, North New Jersey. Come by, stop by. Everyone is invited, Muslims and non-Muslims, to this event. I want to make that clear too. This is a Muslim event. We are gonna be talking about the points of Ramadan, just like we talked about today. So we talked about today. It will be talked about again and a little more emphasis. But definitely it'll be a light affair. It'll be shopping going on. There'll be some vendors. There will be vendors there.
Some new vendors, some new owners.
So the brother is trying to push me to let y'all know that I got some new products out here for y'all. So I will be debuting a new business venture, Imprint Creative Design. So look out for that. Show up at the event and see what I got.
Oh man!
Classic.
My daughter's actually gonna be there too, so she'll have her stuff as well. Lux and Lavish. She makes jewelry, and so and she usually everywhere she goes, she does so well with that stuff. So definitely look out for that. I'm looking forward to jumping double dutch. I don't know if Sister Layla gonna be doing double dutch there, but I want to jump.
Okay,
that's what I want to do.
We'll try to set that up if that's the case. But alhamdulillah, we hope to see everyone there. If not, we will see you guys actually on Tuesday. We have a show. One more announcement. We have a show with our come on, man. We have a show with our sister Naima Mohammed, Sister Fitra Mohammed's daughter. She will be doing our video premiere of Born to Be a Fighter here on Tuesday, March 30th. At 8:00 p.m. This will be a YouTube live exclusive. This will not be streamed on Facebook. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please head over to New Freedom Exchange and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will be a YouTube live exclusive only. So please, if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, thank you. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and go to YouTube right now and subscribe for that great interview as well. That will be a great conversation. Anything last announcement, Dean, that you got? Or
there was another one I think Sister Marsha had.
Oh yes, Sisters in Service. Do we have?
You're on mute.
Another one that I had that not just relegated to Ramadan, but we do, Sisters in Service has a few things coming up. So this is actually Sooner Social Services Inc. and Sisters in Service in collaboration. On Wednesday, April the 7th, we will be having a child abuse and prevention workshop. And we have 4 presenters on that. That'll be on Zoom, and so you see the meeting ID passcode there. You can, and as well as the call-in number, so you'll be able to find that on our page. That'll also be on my personal page too, and on the Sisters in Service page, Facebook and Instagram. So check that out. That's really important. Child abuse. Sometimes we neglect the fact that that is happening in our communities, and I want to be clear that in our Muslim communities it's happening, and I never want to paint the picture that because we're Muslim it's not happening for us. It is. And so it's important to talk about it. It's important to give people preventative measures. It's important to give a voice to those who have been abused, to be able to help others who may be going to that, or just to help us to ward off certain things or to recognize signs of certain things. So I wanted to mention that. And then if we can pull up the financial literacy flyer, because we do have another workshop coming up on April the 10th. And that one so this is our financial literacy series for Sisters in Service. Our next one will be on April the 10th. And that one will focus on budgeting. And that is being presented by Industrial Bank. And so that's a Black-owned bank. We had a really good session on March 13th on Banking 101 and the importance of savings. And so now we'll be going into the budgeting workshop. So if you can join us for that, that'll also be on my personal page. That'll be on the Sisters in Service, Instagram and Facebook. And then you can always visit the Sisters in Service link tree. And both for the not for the child abuse workshop, but for the financial literacy, you do have to register. So make sure you go there and register. I'm not sure on the child abuse one. I don't think you do have to register for that. No, because we posted the meeting ID password. So there's no registration for that. But for the financial literacy series, there is registration. So make sure you register, because then you'll receive the link to be able to log on that day. Yep, that's it.
That's a wrap.
That's it. That's how we do it. We want to thank you all again for
hold on.
Did we miss something?
Are we coming up on an anniversary as a team?
We are.
1 year.
I don't know the date, so you got to give that to us, brother. But we started this together somewhere around April of last year.
Was it not during Ramadan?
I was doing the stimulus Ramadan challenge.
Yeah, so it was around this time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But that was before you did the birthday dance on
Come on, man.
Tell me about. Wait, I missed that. What's the birthday dance?
Oh, you didn't see that?
No.
We gotta go in the archives for that.
Pull it up.
That's another show. Maybe we'll play that on Tuesday. But
I feel like I missed something here. Don't hold out on me. I need to see the birthday dance.
Okay, we'll send that to you.
Okay.
But my birthday was falling on the 14th of April, so inshallah we celebrate a birthday in Ramadan. And actually having Ramadan doing
remind as well in the
blessed time, man. So
yeah, my girls too, they'll be in Ramadan. Well, Mina will be during Ramadan. Nisa, I think, will be one of the EDs. So
copy.
Yeah.
Dean, what's up? You want to say
something? I was just
just wanted to mention this. So what are we doing? What are we doing for the anniversary? We gotta figure this out.
Right.
We're gonna roll that out. It's gonna be something nice, though. We're gonna roll it out for sure.
Okay.
Definitely appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in this evening. Don't forget to always like our page, New Freedom Exchange. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, New Freedom Exchange. Check us out. We're on Instagram as well, New Freedom Exchange as well. Again, check us out. Share. And we hope to see you all Tuesday. If not, Imam Rashad will be back with us on April 11th, which is the next scheduled community conversation as well. So until then, I hope everyone has a great rest of their Sunday night, and I hope everyone has a great start to their Monday in a work week. And we will see you all on Tuesday, God willing, Creator willing, inshallah. Peace. And assalamu alaikum.
They ask me about religion, why? They ask me about my race and my tribe. They ask about my complexion, why? When they ask me, this is what I say. My grandfather was a Muslim, and my daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth, and the Quran gave the answer. They put their hands up in the sky, and they ask the Lord why. worship the creation. We only pray to the Creator. Guidance is a gift that the Lord shall give to any man or woman, whether small or big. God said you must reflect, you have to use your mind. So now you know the reason why. My grandfather was a Muslim, and my daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth. In the Quran they found the answer. They put their hands up to the sky, and they asked the Lord why. We not gonna worship the creation. We only pray to the Creator. The messenger of God, the best of creation. Peace and blessings be upon him and his one nation. He came to teach the world, came to free our souls, and the charity comes from a smile. So when you see me on the road, give me a smile. I say salam alaikum to my brothers. Why? Cause it's peace for you and it's peace for me. Peace from my granddaddy. My grandfather was a Muslim. My daddy was a Rasta. My daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth. Yeah. In the Quran they found the answer. They put their hands up to the sky. And they asked the Lord why. We not gonna worship the creation. We only pray to the Creator. My grandfather was a Muslim. And my daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth. In the Quran they found the answer. They found what they were looking for. They put their hands up in the sky, and they asked the Lord why. We not gonna worship the creation. We only pray to the Creator. Grandfather was a Muslim, and my daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth, and the Quran gave the answer. They put their hands up.